Thank you, Mr. Toastmaster, fellow Toastmasters and guests. One of 12. I grew up in a family of 12. That's right, 12 siblings. I had 9 brothers and 2 sisters. And whenever I would tell people this when I was younger, the first question they would ask me is, "Are you Catholic?" And I didn't really figure that question out until I got to be a teenager. Because when I was younger, it's like when you said, "I came from a family of 12, are you Catholic?" And so today I'm just going to talk about my childhood. I grew up in Rivervale, New Jersey. And the late pop artist Andy Warhol had made this comment that everybody will experience 15 minutes of fame. Okay, everybody will experience 15 minutes of fame. Well, I experienced mine right out of the gate. I was born in a car. It's Rivervale, New Jersey, northern New Jersey in February. And guess what? It's snowing. And my mom decided it's time to go to the hospital, turns to my father and says, "Let's go." And they get in their brand new 55 Ford station wagon. Now, I wasn't the first child, I was number 5. But the snow was swirling and the roads were icy. But my mom wasn't worried because my dad was a professional truck driver. So he was navigating these rural roads in northern New Jersey, making his way to the hospital. When he gets to the hospital, the driveway going up, leading up to the hospital hasn't been plowed yet. So he makes an attempt to drive up to the hospital. Guess what? He gets stuck. So he gets out of the car and trudges up to the hospital to tell him what's going on. "My wife's ready to have a baby." Well, guess what? I wasn't waiting. Out I came. My mom had me in the 55 Ford station wagon. And guess what? I made 3 newspapers the next day. 3, not 1, not 2, 3 newspapers. And the one headline read, "Stork beats storm, baby born in car." Now, for you younger people, you might be puzzled, like, what, stork beats storm? Well, back then, the stork always brought the babies. And so I got my 15 minutes of fame right out the gate. And so growing up, like my siblings, we were all about like a year to a year and a half apart. And the thing, growing up in New Jersey, we were in a rural area that was going to be developed, like the post-World War II boom with the subdivisions being built. But we were one of the first ones. And so next door to us was a chicken farm. But we had a big backyard. We were on like a 1-acre lot. And so our backyard was a playground. We had a swing set. We had a slide. We had a playhouse, sandbox, anything you name it. And we had this little stream that bisected the property. And we had a little bridge we could cross over, and we had lots of trees and lots of vegetation. So me and my siblings, we would always be outdoors playing because you know what my mom made us do? We always went outside every day. Even when we started elementary school, when you got home, it was out the door. And my mom always used to say, the fresh air is good for you. You need to go out, because we didn't want to go outside. It'd be cold. Even when it was snowing, we went outdoors. The only time we got to stay indoors was if it was raining really hard. And so being outdoors with the siblings, we used to just play together all the time. We'd like to play hide and seek because we had so much vegetation. We'd be on the playground, our playground. I broke my wrist one time falling off the slide because I was at the top step and I wanted to turn and wave to my one sibling, and I went tumbling down, broke my wrist. My other brother, we all had a lot of broken bones. You know, growing up outdoors, you get, rough and tumble. And the other thing is we all had to pitch in to help. And so we all had our jobs, set the table, pick up the dishes, load the dishwasher, but we also got a paper route. So here I was, like 8 years old. I was already out on the street working. But the law was 12 years old, but my brother got a big route and he divided it up amongst us. And therefore, I was delivering papers at 8 years old, and the Bergen Evening Record, and it was 33 cents a week. And every Saturday we'd have to go out and collect the money from the customers. We had a little card and you punch it. Well, this one customer, he wanted me to only come every 3 weeks. And so it was 99 cents. He'd give me $1 and tell me to keep the penny as a tip. But I remember we'd come home with our little bags that we collected our money and we poured it out on the table. My mom and I, we'd count it out. And so we'd pay for the papers first. And then what was left, we divided it up into threes. So a third went to the family, because think about it, with 12 kids, that's a lot of mouths to feed. So a third went to the family, a third went into your saving account, and then you get to keep a third, and you go down to the 5 and dime store and buy some candy or other little goodies or comic books. We loved comic books. And it was a good experience, because one thing we learned about is we learned things that I carried through my entire life, and that is about getting along. We didn't have a very large house. So think about it. There was 12 of us in there. We had to get along. I never had my own bedroom. You know, I always sharing. And then with the clothes, you'd always get the hand-me-downs from your older sibling. But you learned about getting along. Sharing is a big thing, because with 12, you have to share. You know, there's not enough to go around. And the other thing was respecting different views, because even though we all grew up in the same family, we all took different paths in life. And it's just really interesting, because my parents instilled in us that we were all individuals. And I would cherish these memories, and I've carried them through my life, and it really helped me in everything I did in my career. Mr. Toastmaster.